Social media can be a really tough place for anybody of all ages, but especially for a teenager. Now, the American Psychological Association has released new recommendations for teens before they use social media. Dr. Cheryl Ziegler joins us this morning. She's our 9 News parenting expert and a licensed therapist. Why specifically are we focusing on this age group? Because as we mentioned, you and I even sometimes struggle with social media.
Oh, absolutely. I think anybody who goes on there is not immune to the dopamine hits that it gives you and what it does for you. But we're focusing on teens because of the teen youth mental health crisis that we're in.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing social media as playing such a large role in it. So it's an initiative. And so the APA, the American Psychological Association, put together a health advisory committee to really look at this and actually start providing teachers and parents and caregivers guidelines around it.
So what exactly are they saying about this?
So it's really interesting. I mean, they're focusing on the developmental needs. You got to start this before kids use social media. So one of the big recommendations that I got out of it was, let's start creating education the way we do for driver's ed. This is sort of a social media ed where you're really going to provide kids that literacy around how to use it, what the dangers are. And providing continued training as they get older. So all that developmental needs says what you need at 10 is different than 12 and 14 and 16, and we have to teach them at those certain junctures as well. And so really focused on just the piece around teaching them that it affects your sleep. This isn't just about monitoring you and holding you down, you know, and not giving you access, how it affects your sleep, how it affects your self-esteem and depression and anxiety, and that we're teaching kids that all along the way. So it's aspirational right now because this doesn't actually exist, but I'm really excited about what we can create.
So how did they come to this conclusion? What was the argument behind these new guidelines that they put in place?
Yeah, I mean, we now really are starting to gather some research. And I will say sometimes the headlines on that research will say social media use, has mixed results.
Yes.
Maybe it's not so bad for kids. And what we really know is that kids are different, just like humans, right? And so it affects them differently depending on their predisposition to mental health issues, how they use social media, how much they consume social media. So it's not a one size fits all. You might have a teen and I might have one, and we might have two really different experiences. And I think that that's one of the nice things too, is this brings to light not every kid is terribly affected in these kinds of ways. There's really a wide spectrum of how they are. So let's just train them and teach them along the way.
And listen, guidelines are good, but now this is the important question. How do parents go about actually implementing them for their own kids?
I know. Well, the very first thing that I will say is that there's something called digital citizenship, and those are curriculums that right now are available for free online. Sometimes they're made for schools, parents. You can grab that. That's one thing. But the other thing to say is that there are social media contracts. Before your kid gets that phone in their hand, do a social media contract. They're free, they're online, Google it, create your own one. At least it gives you a foundation. There are a lot of people that don't have those contracts, and believe me, you will need them. So start early, and so just start with that now as we continue to kind of create the education around what they need.
The things parents didn't even know they were going to have to do 20 years ago.
Not at all.
The game is changing so much, and Dr. Ziegler, thank you very much for helping us with that.
Absolutely.